Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for March 14, 2017 is called to order. I will ask the Secretary to do roll call.
Terrell Barnes.
Present.
Chester Jones.
Yes. Here.
Jamelba Johnson. Mr. Cook.
Present.
President Brown.
Present.
We have 4 present and 1 absent. We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. We'll proceed with the agenda for today. First order of business is approval for February 14, 2017 minutes. Can I get a motion to accept the minutes for February 14th?
President.
Second.
Been moved and properly second. Any discussion? If no discussion, roll call, Madam Secretary.
Terrell Barnes.
Yes.
Chester Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Cook.
Yes.
President Brown.
Yes.
Vote is 4-0.
4-0 minutes for February 14th has been approved. We'll go on to the second order of business, which is the public hearing. We're going to our public hearing. First hearing item is BZA 1703, the Man Cave Nightclub, LLC. Don Schultz, sole member of the Northbrook, Illinois, petitioning for a special use permit for 3201 East Dunes Highway, Gary, Indiana, to establish an adult cabaret. If the petitioner is here, please come to the mic and give an overview of your petition.
Good afternoon. My name's Eric Neff, and I'm an attorney who's representing the Man Cave. We submitted our materials and our things at the last meeting. I think it was deferred for purposes of you gentlemen meeting with your legal counsel to determine whether or not to grant the variance.
Yes, sir. So for those that were not at the last meeting, please give us an overview of what you're proposing.
Well, and we submitted our materials. I don't know, do you have the maps and the drawings that we had before?
Yes.
Okay. Essentially, Don Schultz is the sole owner, and he is the managing member of Man Cave Nightclub, LLC. Property was purchased in 2016. He spent about $50,000 to $70,000 in the remodeling costs. The property is located at 3201 East Dunes Highway in Gary, Indiana, and is zoned M1. An adult cabaret has been applied for as far as his business license, and that is the special use that he is intending to place there. We did have a meeting with the neighbors last night trying to work out a compromise. They weren't interested in compromising, so therefore we are going forward with the special use permit. To the north of the location of the property, if you just go right out here and make a right when you get off the expressway, 1220, it's not too far from there. But to the north of the location are railroad tracks. To the east, the property is a NIPSCO and pumping station. To the west is an abandoned shell of a hotel. And directly to the south is a NIPSCO substation. There are other adult cabarets, as I understand, on the north side of Miller, or on the opposite side of what's known as the community of Miller. This is a permitted use by variance from the BZA as part of your master plan that's been adopted. They've met all of the criteria. There's not going to be an adverse impact as to the business being located there. There's nothing there. It's an empty building, and there's nothing around. There's no neighbors or anything. You have to go at least about a mile, mile and a half before you run into any type of businesses. Again, it's been filed as a special use permit as an adult cabaret, and they are allowed by the M1 as a special use. And we talked about the security cameras the last time, and it's going to be run according to your laws governing adult cabaret entertainment facilities. As far as any of the what they call secondary effects, that's not really proper for consideration by the BZA. That's proper consideration in land use planning when you're adopting the master plan. So essentially, my clients have met all the criteria established by your city ordinances with respect to this special use permit, and we're respectfully requesting that the same be granted. Thank you.
Any questions from the commissioners?
At the last meeting, I asked several questions which weren't directly answered with a yes or no answer. One of the questions that I asked before was, will there be new dancers in this club? And the answer was whatever the ordinance allows for.
Correct. There's
so
not
you-
such a thing, and I don't want to get tripped up in the arguing over words. There's no such thing as nude dancing, totally nude, in the city of Gary.
Nude women in the,
They are required to wear certain items, okay, that would not be considered totally nude.
and the other question, thanks for the explanation, was whether or not there would be lap dances given.
Again, they would comply with the ordinances. As I understand it, there's an ordinance with a 6-foot rule. And they're going to comply with the city ordinances that are set forth in your codes on adult cabaret establishment. No more, no less.
Okay.
You know.
That answers the question. Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners? If not, we'll open it up to the floor. Anybody to speak in favor of BZA 1703 may take the mic. Anybody in favor of speaking for BZA 1703 may take the mic. Once again, anybody in favor of BZA 1703 may take the mic. Seeing none, hearing none, we'll go on. Anyone opposed to BZA 1703 may take the mic. Give your name and address for the record.
My name's Susan Rutson, and I'm just repeating what I mentioned 1 month ago, which is a sexually oriented business has something like 26 secondary effects that affect the community. It starts with patrons who walk in and believe, whether they will or not, believe that they can have sex in that building. There's illicit drugs as another secondary effect, prostitution. I mean, there are no good secondary effects of a sexually oriented business, and that's why we're so against it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Since nobody else is speaking, I'll speak. My name is Bill Goldsby. I live in Miller. Citizen of Gary, third, I guess you would say, generation of Garyite here. We were in the process of trying to rebuild a city. And you know, Lord knows we need to rebuild the city. In order to rebuild the city, we must set a firm foundation. And the foundation should not be on drugs, alcohol, or places of nudity. That just won't work here if we want to set a foundation to rebuild the city. We need proper businesses to come in here. We are in trouble. Our school system is in trouble. We have a school building right there on 20. We need to look at what we allow in this city like every other city and clean this place up. It is vitally important to our future and our kids' future. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Thomas Eaton, and a Gary resident. It's my understanding that when a person is applying for a special use permit, it is his responsibility to show that granting the permit is going to be beneficial to the city as a whole. The Board of Zoning Appeals, the City Council, and the individual citizens do not have to have a reason for saying no. So although many reasons have been expressed today and last month, they are not critical to the issue. If the board decides that they don't like this business, they can say so, and they don't have to explain why they have made that decision. So I hope that you will listen to the many objections to the proposal and will say no and nobody should be asking you why you have made that decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jennifer Fredericks, a Miller Beach, Gary resident for over 20 years. The business site currently in discussion should be one that is an appropriate entryway to Gary's Miller Beach community and needs to represent the fundamental values and facets that Miller Beach has to offer. Those things are the beach, the dunes' natural resources, the nature trails, art galleries, the boutique shops, and family-friendly restaurants. The permit in question undermines the work of countless citizens and many elected officials to develop Gary and its neighborhoods to their best and highest use. And the responsibility that everyone in this audience and also everyone sitting here has is to make sure that every establishment that we are opening leaves a positive impact on both the residents and the city of Gary.
All right.
My name is Meg Roman. I was born here, left for a while, and chose to return to Gary. My parents were standing right where I have been, so this fight has gone on for many decades. When you get off the highway at I-65, and the first thing you see when you enter the city is a, whatever you want to call it, adult cabaret. Not a great image for people to see. The city of Gary is already struggling with image and economics and lots of other issues, and people have worked incredibly hard to bring businesses and entertainment and helping tourists understand the beauty of our natural surroundings. 16 new businesses have opened in the Miller section of Gary in the past 5 years due to the efforts of the people in this room and many others who aren't here today. So, yes, we need new businesses, but we need businesses that we are proud of, that we want to tell people about, that we want to use to attract people to this community, that makes Gary a place that people want to come to. And I do not believe that an adult cabaret in any way, shape, or form fulfills those desires.
All right, thank you.
My name is Sandra Goldsby. I live in Gary, and I've taught in the Gary school system. My concern is that many of our youth will be influenced by this, and I would hope that our youth would have a positive role model, not to have the impression that this is the only job that they can achieve in their life, is working at a club, in a strip club. Also, if you study, you find out that drugs and gambling and strip clubs promote crime. And what we're trying to do with our youth is to stop crime, not promote it. You look at Chicago, which is right close to us, and look at the crime that's occurring there. We don't want to bring that crime into Gary.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marianne Best. I grew up in Miller and then moved away in college, came back just a little over a year ago. All our families have fought these kind of businesses my whole life growing up here. A lot of the reason that a lot of families don't come back here until their kids are grown is because of the schools, the economic opportunities, and so forth. We moved back once our kids had grown up, and I didn't have to worry about these things. I would love to be able to promote to the real estate people, to the people in the community that are looking to move here from out of state or outside the area, giving them good reasons to move back here with family members, with kids. We need to fill our schools. We need to promote good education, good jobs. The person that represented the Man Cave mentioned a few things that I'd just like to address quickly, that there's really no other businesses around there or neighbors that would be affected. And that may be the case right now, but we're trying to encourage businesses to come in that will promote good businesses to be their neighbors, not to say there's nobody around here that cares about a business like that. It's the entrance to our community. You've seen that as well. And it's not just that we don't want this in Miller, we don't want it anywhere in Gary. So I hope that you'll side with the community members and judge against a business like this coming in. Yes, we do want new businesses, but we want to promote the values of the community that we've all been fighting for a long time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, BZA members. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to pose my opinion about the BZA 1703 issue with Man Cave. My name is Susan Greenwald. I live at 8201 Lakeshore Drive. I'm a relatively new member to this community, and happily. And I'm thrilled to see what's happening on Lake Street and on 2012 in terms of businesses, schools. You have a beautiful family-friendly ballpark here. I've worked in Gary for probably 15 years at the Steelworkers Hall on Texas Street, so I'm very familiar with this area. I'm only reiterating what other people have said earlier, that this strip of land, while it may not be an impact to people in the neighborhood, people will drive by that building every single day. And it is an eyesore area in many ways. Hopefully, someday, someone will develop it, the city, the state, and create a beautiful park. There'd be a sign, welcome to Miller. That would be a more appropriate use of that land area, at least in my imaginary vision. A business that promotes all of the things that other people have discussed earlier, prostitution, crime, drugs, doesn't belong here anymore. And I agree with what Ms. Best said in terms of its proximity to the school. I cannot imagine that anybody in this room would recommend to their daughter, their niece, their sister, any member of their family to take a job in a strip club. I hope that you will hear our voices and make the right choice for everybody in the community.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the board, my name is Jack Tonk, Lifeline resident, City of Gary. Would just like to point out, or maybe I'm asking a question, this area is zoned M1?
Yes.
And does that mean industrial or manufacturing or something like that?
Light industrial.
Okay. I would just assume if the City of Gary, through its agencies, through its mayor, through its boards, has deemed that this area is good and prime for industry and manufacturing, I'd like to see it just stay that way. It seems to me that there are some very legitimate businesses within a mile of this location. There's a dental office, there's a Dollar General store, there's a car wash that's about to be opened up. I understand a new business, Dunkin' Donuts, is going in at the intersection of 12 and 20. All of these are well within a mile of the location of this proposed change. So I would urge you to consider leaving it as manufacturing or an industry. I think that'd bring in far more jobs than the proposal that's before you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Carol Smith, and I've been living in Miller for 20 years, and I'm a member of MCC, Friends of Marquette Park, Miller Garden Club, Retired Teachers Association, and I just want you to know I care about this community, and I work very, very hard to make this place a better place for everyone, the whole city, not just Miller. There are only two entrances into Miller on Route 20, from the east and from the west. From the west, we used to have Pandora's Box. We all cheered when it closed because we finally had an entrance into Miller that had no adult entertainment on it. From I-65 to Lake Street, we have no adult entertainment right now. On the other side, coming in from the east, we have at least two adult entertainments, And we have an adult bookstore, or whatever it is, videos, anything you could want, probably there too. We don't need any more. We already have our share of adult entertainment. We would like all of it to go away, but it won't. Please give us one entrance into Miller with no adult entertainment. Thank you.
Thank you.
George Rogie, 1135 North Union, Gary, Indiana. And speaking as president of the MCC, Miller Citizens Corporation, Eric Neff brought up that last night we had a kind of a public forum where Gordon, I call him Gordon because that's what he told me his name was when I first met him, and so I've kind of kept that. That would be Don Schultz. And so Gordon came to the community to tell them that he would withdraw this petition of adult cabaret and then go for a three-way license to have a tavern that would be in the motif of a train station, because in the back of the building is the South Shore Railroad. Well, he kept answering questions for 40 minutes. Then we took a poll. The poll ended up being 3-4 and 34 against. So if we look back, we'll say that the community just doesn't want Don Schultz, Gordon to be there. I mean, that's what they're saying. Now, as far as, Jack Tonks just said about the Dunkin' Donuts coming at the on Clay Street where a 12 and 20 split. If some of you old guys, like me, come on, Bill, some of the old guys will remember that right there used to be an adult cabaret. Right there. And it's, we were very, very happy that that was gone. I know that was a long time ago. But just like Carol said, we now have, from all of the major highways coming in, no adult cabaret. And so we want to keep it that way. And so I think you got to just dig down in yourself and say, let's go for the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak against BZA 1703? Going once, twice, three. Public portion is closed. I would call the Man Cave representative back to the mic. We'll hear from staff recommendation right now.
Before I make my recommendation, I would like for it to be noted that we did some research, and based upon studies on record, an adult business can bring crime, depressive effects to property values, and new investment in blighted conditions. Also, this particular establishment is less than 1,000 feet from the nearest residential zoning. So based upon those criteria, I recommend denial.
Thank you, staff. Commissioners, you've heard staff recommendation. We get a roll call for or against this BZA.
You want a recommendation?
Yes.
You want
Do we have a vote for or against?
we've got to recommend that we accept her.
Recommend accept the BZA. All right.
Mr. Chair, I recommend that we accept staff's recommendation for denial.
I'll second that.
Been moving probably saying that we accept staff's recommendation for denial. Is there any further discussion? If there is none, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Terrell Bond,
Yes.
Chester Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Yes.
President Brown.
Yes.
The vote is 4-0 to deny.
Yes. Ms. Mankey, you do have a right to go before the City Council to make your case. This board has decided to deny your appeal. Next item on the agenda, BZA 1704. Petitioner is here, please come to the mic. BZA 1704. Oh, okay. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Give the crowd a chance to move out so we can hear you, sir.
I'm sorry?
Just give them a chance to move out so we can hear you. Okay, so you may proceed.
Oh,
You have
okay.
two petitions before us, so you can go ahead and do both overviews while you're up there at the mic. So,
Yeah, the mic is on. Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm William Schmelter. I live at 10754 Miami Street in Crown Point, Indiana, and I'm here to represent Outfront Media. We're a large billboard company. Basically, we organized about 3 years ago as a real estate investment trust, created as CBS Outdoor left the outdoor advertising market. And the reason I'm here is to promote 2 locations for outdoor advertising. The locations, before I get to that, I'd just like to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in the business 28 years. Actually, yesterday I observed or celebrated my 28th anniversary in outdoor advertising. I worked for White Outdoor Advertising. Throughout the 90s, I was a real estate manager. And the department I work for in Outfront Media is called Land Lease. And what we do is we represent railroad properties throughout the country, Norfolk Southern, Amtrak, Grand Trunk, Western / Canadian National, and CSX. And what our division of the company does, Outfront Media, is we represent our railroad clients with regard to advertising on railroad property. And that's what's drawn us to these 2 locations here in Gary. And what we're asking for is just, the billboards are in M3 and M2 zone properties. And what we're asking for is a variance of standards, basically spacing from other billboards. In location number 1, up at the, what we call Railroad Properties, LLC, actually just north of here and a little bit further east. The advertising sign we're proposing on I-90 there, the toll road, is all the way on the east side of the property. And the spacing that we have is 1,100, almost 1,200 feet from the nearest billboard to the west. And then we have 3 billboards on the north side of 90. One is 677 feet. The second billboard is 1,177 feet. and the third one is 1,677 feet distant from our proposed location. Your ordinance requires a distance of 1,760 feet, spacing 1,760 feet. State requires 500 feet spacing on the same side of the highway. So what we're asking for is certainly within state ordinance, state regulations, and we're asking for at location number 1 up at the Railroad Materials Yard, Railroad Properties LLC, we're asking for a spacing variance to the west, and then 3 spacing variances for signs that are across over on the north side of I-90 and down the way, the nearest one being 677 feet. And that would be location number 1. My copies of my site plan, my certified site plan, which just fell on the floor here. Does anybody want to see a larger blown-up version to scale of what we're proposing?
I'm not sure, I think I'm okay with the diagram.
Okay, because there is in the paperwork,
Yeah.
there's a reduced
Right.
scale
Right.
version of what we're proposing.
Okay.
Before I go on to location number 2, which is going to be a little further east on the same side, the south side, or call it the west side of I-90, I wanted to get back to Mary on 3 questions she asked me when we finished up the site plan meeting on that was the 1st of February. She asked, do we advertise for gentlemen's clubs? No. And the response there is because we don't have to. If we have an available sign, we don't put a phone number up on it like a lot of other outdoor signs might do, outdoor companies might do. We market mainly through agencies. We're a large company. We're in 26 major markets. We run the transit advertising in Boston, New York, Washington, Dallas. We don't advertise that way. We advertise, or we get our customers, our clients, through agencies, salespeople, sales offices, which we have downtown Chicago, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, and that's our marketing plan. So basically, we don't advertise for gentlemen's clubs. I've never seen one of our signs used that way. When would we build the signs? Hopefully this fall. It would be September or after Labor Day. We would still need to get, aside from the Gary permits, we need to get a state permit, which once our variances are approved, we would apply for the state permits, and then we would come back and see Mr. Hawkins regarding a local Gary permits. And are the signs going to be digital? Does your ordinance allow for digital signs, Mary?
Nothing that's flashing or blinking or anything like that, no.
Okay, nothing that can change. So basically, at this time, the investment we're wanting to make in the community wouldn't be for digital signs unless something in the ordinance would change. That's why there hasn't been a big proliferation of more outdoor advertising signs the last few years. Our company, the last sign we built in the area was 3 or 4 years ago over in Porter County. And the proliferation or the number of outdoor advertising signs has actually decreased because of the digital age. The companies are taking their better signs, turning them into digital readers, and therefore we're not really appealing for new signs like I'm trying to do right now. It's been very slow over the last couple of years, but we like the locations on the toll road. We want to invest in Gary. These are expensive propositions. All the advertising will be done in good taste. And let me move on to location number 2, which is on a vacated Norfolk Southern easement, a little further down the line on I-90, almost to the toll booths. And what we have there is a location, sign location that we feel is legal and can be permitted. And we would like to ask for your support there to give us, we're just asking for one variance on that sign location. There's one sign 1,200 feet or so away, which comes pretty close to meeting your ordinance. It's about 70% there as far as meeting the ordinance. And we'd like to ask you for your support on that position as well. I guess I'll just move to questions. If there's anything that I can provide further, and aside from the information or any questions you may have, I'd be willing to answer those at this time.
Commissioners, any questions? Let me have a question about, you said the signs will be built later on this year.
Yes.
Will you be using a local workforce, or where does your workforce come from?
Yes, we would. We'd be using American steel, American-made steel, and then we generally employ all steel structures out of their, not Linwood, but they're in Illinois, basically, and they would be one of the companies we would look at to build the signs.
So no opportunities for people in Northwest Indiana, young people or workers to work on those, to build those signs?
That, as far as building the signs are concerned, it's about a 4 or 5 day process. You know, we hire a contractor to build the signs. They generally have their employees. We really don't have a company here out of Lake County, Indiana, to build these, but there is an Indiana company based in Terre Haute that I would like to have take a look at these as far as a bid.
Okay.
It's a fairly quick process. It's about a 3-day process where they drill, set the column, and then they come back about 2 days later, and then they erect the rest of the sign. It's a pretty quick process.
So there's no maintenance, there's no crews necessary to maintain them or anything?
Well, the maintenance crew would be Outfront Media.
Okay.
And that would be our company, which we have support in Chicago and Indianapolis are our 2 closest local offices.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm sorry?
No, I'm saying, from the board, is any further questions? If none, you can have a seat and we're going to move this right along. Seeing that the place is empty, I don't think there's anybody here to speak for or against you. So, Ms. Sir, we can move right to staff recommendation.
Yes, the existing signs that are currently along the toll road are considered grandfathered in. When the sign ordinance came into play, those signs were already there. So in order for him to comply, he has to apply for a variance because there is a distance of 1,760 feet between each sign on the highway. And in order for him to be able to put up these signs, he has to apply for a variance because he does not meet that 1,760 feet from an already existing sign that's already on the toll road. He's also applying for a height variance of, for one of the signs to 75 feet. Once again, this is also considered a grandfathered-in sign under the existing signs that are already there. So in order for him to be able to put a sign up that's going to be taller than the ones that are already there, he has to apply for a variance. We did check with some of the other signs along some of the other highways, and there are some billboards that are as tall as the ones that he would like to put up. So it is in compliance with some of the other ones that are out there. The sign that he's putting up along the railroad, I do have a sign authorization from the representative of the railroad, giving him permission to put that sign up on the railroad property. Also part of the ordinance is for outdoor media to maintain the landscaping of those signs and to make sure that it's maintained as far as keeping up with the overgrowth and things of that nature. That's their responsibility too, and he's aware of that. So based upon those, that information and criteria, we recommend approval.
For both?
For both.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sir. We've heard staff's recommendation. Can I get a motion to accept staff's recommendation?
I second it.
We're moving probably saying that we accept staff's recommendation for.
You need to vote on it individually, though.
Okay.
You can't vote on that.
Okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Sir. Just remind me, we have to vote on each one individual. So can I get a motion to accept staff recommendation on BZA 1704?
Yes.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, we approve variance for BZA 1704. If there are no further discussion, roll call. Yes, sir.
Terrell Bond,
Yes.
Chester Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Yes.
President Brown.
Yes.
The vote is 4-0 to approve.
4-0 approved. BZA 1704 has been approved. We will now move on to BZA 1705. Leading staff recommendation is to approve. Can I get a motion to that effect?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve the permit for BZA 1705. If there's no further discussion, roll call, Ms. Hurd.
Terrell Bond,
Yes.
Chester Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Cook,
Yes.
President Brown.
Yes.
The vote is 4-0 for approval.
4-0 for approval. BZA 1705 has been approved, and we hope you good luck. He has to still go before the city council, correct?
No,
He
this one
does?
he does not.
He
He
does.
just goes on to the next phase of presenting plans and the contractor who's going to be doing the billboards and pulling permits.
Well, then, congratulations.
Sure.
Hope the signs come up and are pleasant and a nice addition to our community. And so we wish you good luck and
I'll
congratulations.
do everything I can to make it just that.
All right,
And I
good.
appreciate your concerns, I appreciate your time this afternoon, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Take care. Be safe. Watch the snow.
At this time, we want to welcome our new commissioner, Mr. Terrell Bonds. We thank you, and we look forward to working with you. All right?
And we have a few words from Mr. Bonds.
I'll keep this brief. I'd just like to thank Mr. President, Vice President, rest of the commissioners, and Ms. Hurt for having me. Giving me an opportunity to participate in other aspects and improving our city. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to say, we welcome Mr. Bonds. We know that he'll bring a wealth of knowledge to the board, in addition to experience. I've known him for some time now. I'd like to personally welcome him on board.
And
Look
since
forward to
I'm-
working with you.
Since I'm the second guy, I second whatever Bill said.
Thank you, Pastor Jones. Is there no further discussion or comments? This meeting is adjourned.